Edgar, would you be kind enough to lead us to the flag?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, I haven't done this in a while, so let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. No.
Millennial thing, is that what this is? Apparently.
It is.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry, I say pledge allegiance to the.
We'll try to not remember this when you run for office.
Jim, go. Jim, go.
Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
I know the melody. I would just, there's some word that I might make up in there, or add or subtract.
Probably should have started off with roll call, but we didn't. Now we get a roll call. Edgar.
All right. Okay, so I'll start off. Thomas Lang.
He is excused.
Excused. George Cleveland.
I'm here.
Susan Boudreau.
She's excused.
Jim Herman. Dr. Melinda McLean.
Yes.
Mickey Norris.
Is excused.
Tom Owens.
Here.
Shirley Rosenthal Winston.
Here.
Emily Whelan.
I'll say she's excused because I think she's probably still caring for the baby.
Okay. We have a quorum.
That's good. Okay, very good. Edgar, if you kind of give us our treasurer's report.
Yeah, so we have $2,964.59.
Okay.
That's subtracting the $35.41 for the business cards, which should be available next Wednesday.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Next up on the agenda.
Can I just ask you a question? The name badges.
I have not submitted a quote for that. I can ask for a quote for that. Yeah.
Okay.
So that will be an item that we could put on the agenda for the next meeting.
Right.
Just off the bat.
Yeah.
We did, Tom. That's good.
But never gotten in first.
I got one when I was on my first stint on the Mac. I had lost it.
Well, then you retired from the Mac and came back.
No, this is where you
We got a quote that would be great.
Yep.
Just lost it. Anyhow, next up on the agenda is the approval of minutes from January, which I am guessing are attached to this.
They sort of are missing the date.
Oh, yeah.
It's
1, 2, 3, 8, 4.
okay.
But it's call to orders where it starts.
Okay, all right. So let's take a look at these. You know, I suppose we could entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
No. I was here last meeting.
Well,
No, this is January.
January.
January. Well,
I was not here then. Oh.
okay, so I hope to entertain a motion to potentially approve these minutes as correct, because we don't need corrected. So someone kind of make motion because I can't.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, so moved and seconded to approve the minutes for the January 2023 MAC meeting, and I'm going to say that there should be some corrections, like
having the date.
yeah,
The date, okay.
The date would be helpful. In looking at this, you know, present Thomas, me, Sue, Jim, Vicky, Tom, Doctor.
I was not here.
You were
in
not
January. I was in Saturday.
That's a good place to be. Hopefully, you went to the O'Keefe Museum. And you went to the O'Keefe Museum, maybe.
I've been there many times,
It's wonderful.
but not that much.
It's a great museum. All right, so any other corrections that people still need to be made to the minute? I looked them over briefly and I thought they were fine. Obviously Shirley and Melinda were here at that one time.
I looked them over, they look fine to me.
Jeff.
They look fine to me.
Okay, we're both. Let's go to the motion then on the floor to approve the minutes of January 2023 MAC meeting as corrected. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have an abstention. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Presentations is next on the agenda. We're going to start with the county update from Supervisor John Joya. John, the floor is yours.
All right, good. So I have it's short, a couple of items. We will be coming back this summer with an update from the planning department to present the updated proposed land use and zoning maps and the community profile. Remember, you all provided a lot of input into the community profile, and they've been rewriting the documents, and we'll have drafts out this summer, and we'll come back later in the summer, early fall, here to the MAC to get further input before things get finalized. So that will be on the agenda. You know, currently in the general plan, there is a designation for a town square, park town square in downtown El Sobrante. And, you know, there is a designation on the Mechanics Bank parking lot site, right, for a town square. So just to let you know, we have reached out to Mechanics Bank, to their corporate folks, to have a discussion about getting working with them to their interest in using in getting the parking lot for a town square on the dam road. And so we will update.
I'm gonna mute my thing.
Pardon?
That's okay. We had an open mic, John.
Okay, so we will, anything that comes out of that, if there's any follow-up on that and interest, we will report back to you. So I just wanted you to know about that contact with Mechanics Bank corporate folks. There will be this Saturday a town hall meeting at Pinole City Hall that our fire district is organizing on wildfire prevention. We are sending an email out about that tomorrow morning, so you will get it, and you can participate by Zoom if you cannot go in person. It's from 10 to 11 on Saturday, this Saturday. The results of the soil testing of the dust that came out of the Marathon Refinery last Thanksgiving were presented to the Oversight Committee. And as you know, Tom Lang is on that Oversight Committee, and he did write something up that's consistent with sort of the report. And they did test a site that was near Appian Way and San Pablo Dam Road. And basically, they looked for aluminum, arsenic, barium, beryllium, chromium, a bunch of heavy metals. And their conclusion was, you know, that what came out of that were the values of those metals were basically no greater than what's called background measurements. So they all the concentrations were found to fall within the range of background measurements, meaning what would ever naturally be in the soil. It did say there were a couple sites in Martinez, again, all within relative background, but there were a couple sites that had some slightly higher amounts, and they were close to the refinery. And the recommendation by the toxicologist to the health department was, since the concentrations of these metals in the soil were within measured variation of background values, and below any what's called and we're below any residential soil health standard thresholds, and the recommendation is that there were no additional soil samples that were needed, and the health department lifted its health advisory about eating crops grown in the soil. So that's the upshot of that, no impacts, definitely not in El Sobrante. Let's see, Edgar, is there something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, the Thrive Thursday event.
Oh, well, I'll talk. So starting next Thursday, the 22nd, while Richmond City Council member Doria Robinson, who represents much of Central Richmond, and I are hosting every Thursday evening from 6:30 to 8 at the Martin Luther King Jr. track and soccer field, a a Thrive Thursday evening where we will have exercise, a doctor. So we're going to have a county physician there who speaks Spanish and English. We are going to have booths from a number of organizations, including Urban Tilt with fresh fruits and vegetables, and Lifelong Medical and County Health, and the physician's going to talk about health and other issues and exercise. There'll be walk with the doc, so people can walk, talk to the doctor, ask questions. There'll be some jogging. There'll be some other exercise. There will be, I think we're working on blood pressure screenings, other booths, and it's a way to just have a healthy Thursday night. It's open to anybody from 6:30 to 8 through the summer, and we will see, where we go and decide if we want to continue that after summer. And welcome to go to that. It's really off of Cutting and Marina Way, this particular soccer field and track. Thanks for reminding me on that, Edgar. I think those are the main updates. I do see a Lifelong Medical Care sweatshirt. There we go. Yeah, Lifelong's going to be participating in that. Our partners with Lifelong. And Kaiser will participate as well. County Health, just a healthy night to come out.
Okay. Anybody on the MAC have any questions for Supervisor Joy? Easy for me to say.
Yeah, George, I have one.
Go ahead, Tom.
I had a little information given to me today that we'll be losing our coordinator here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I will let Edgar announce that. And I will let Edgar announce that.
Okay.
And then I'll follow up after that.
Okay. Well, since it's been brought forth at this moment, do you wish to?
Yeah. So next month is my last month with Supervisor Joy's office. I'm starting law school in August. So yeah, excited about that. And so we'll work on having someone on board before I leave, right, John?
Hopefully, we may not get someone right on board. I mean, our goal is to try to do that, but it may not be possible. One of my existing competent staff may fill in during any time before we bring a new staff person on board. So yes, we are really sorry to lose Edgar, but we know, happy for him as he decided. He didn't know he was going to do that. He sort of had to thought about it and made the decision to go to law school, which is great, in San Francisco. And we support him. And we will keep you informed on outreach we're doing.
SF Law in San Francisco, formerly Hastings. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Well,
before the battle of Hastings.
all right.
On your move to law school.
Thank you, Joe.
We wish you the best of luck in that you do well. So we thank you for your work on behalf of Supervisor Joy and assisting us in our duties as the MAC. We do greatly appreciate your work. So thank you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what you do.
Yeah, I'm excited too, and I'm not too far, so you folks need me. You have.
All right. Any other questions for Supervisor Joy from the MAC? I don't see any. How about we got a hand? We have a hand in the audience. I'm going to take anybody in the room first. Any questions for Supervisor Joy? Then we go to the.
Oh, I forgot to say that the planning department is still reviewing the whole updated permit for up and under. And as soon as we hear anything, we'll let you know. Remember, you gave input on the up and under conditions. We're encouraging them to finalize that as soon as possible, but we did send that over to planning. And so they're considering the input you provided, and they just haven't finalized it.
Thank you. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm Councilman Shields. I had a meeting on schedule with you.
Yes.
I know we had to reschedule.
Yeah, I think you met with Edgar. Edgar's spoken to you. Yes.
Yes, he wasn't able to answer a lot of the questions in regards to who, what's my protocol, who's the right person. I assume that if the planning department with the county was not, if there was a lot of inaccuracies, a lot of mistakes that was happening in regards to permitting and approving applications.
Yeah, I checked into that, and I know I don't know if this got explained to you either by the planner or Edgar, but in many zoning districts, a permit is required to be a venue for events. And it's required at a number of events. And so what the planning department had said, and I saw their communication, is that the zoning district you're in requires a permit. I checked. I mean, I'll follow up again, but it requires a permit. I can't tell them to change that process.
There's no question about whether a permit is required. That's automatic. I've submitted an application.
Right.
The application was changed multiple times by the planning department, and even after speaking with Edgar and with Sean, the physical planner, once I sent the actual planner for my project, she assigned once again an additional application that had never been used. Typically, the El Sobrante administrative permit is used for requesting an additional use in an already approved commercial space. And so when I questioned why did you set this permit, although you haven't used it for what I'm asking for, you haven't used it to approve an additional use. Not since 1980, not even, and I took the record all the way back to 1980. I haven't received an answer yet. And so,
right.
I
think, right. And I think tonight, I know tonight you're presenting to the MAC just to get their input on on whatever you're doing. They're going to provide input that will go to the planning department. I don't think they're not going to tell you what the process is. That's up to the planning department. But I think as I understand, you're going to present tonight to the MAC to get their input about your proposed use, right? So that the MAC can make a conclusion and a recommendation to the planning department. And again, I can work through Edgar, to make sure, I know Edgar's working hard and has had several conversations about the process, and to ensure that the right process is being followed. And it is true, and I'm not sure if you had mentioned, even if a facility has been used, it's all about what the use of the facility is for. And if there's
no confusion there, the issue, so it's twofold. Of course, I'm here to talk about, I'll be listening to the MAC's concerns in regards to what my use is, but also there's clearly some inefficiencies happening at the planning department when and that's not going to just affect me, that affects other people who are applying for an application and they're getting sent the wrong application, and not having the right application financially impacts the business. If you tell me that, my application that I need is, a modification application that has never been used to approve a use, and that's $2,000 instead of having me use the El Sobrante administrative permit, it stalled my
here I can answer why, because apparently they determined that it is not an administrative permit, is an over-the-counter automatic approval.
There is no counter, John.
No,
Counter is gone.
No, well, I know what I'm using the old term when I say old.
Yeah, and in the old days
right.
it was easy.
Right.
It's not now.
Right.
That's
But
what she's
so
trying to tell you.
let me just say the situation is very different from your situation, Belinda. So let me say what I know. And I think the purpose of this meeting is not to answer but let me just say, because we'll talk separate with Edgar and you. It's not the issue. Yeah, this is an issue on your application. I will just say with this, and I once was a land use lawyer before being a supervisor. I know this area very well. There are two types of permits: administrative permits, and discretionary permits. There's a different application for each. An administrative permit under some zoning is allowed, and it's a sort of an automatic approval if you meet certain conditions. A discretionary permit, right, is more involved. I think that's what they determined, is that the zoning for this particular district where you're located requires this discretionary permit for your type of use. It may not have been required for a previous use in that facility, but your type of use is what I've been told is triggers a discretionary permit and not an administrative permit. We can talk with you offline on that. I don't want to take up the max time because you're going to present later about your intended use, and they can provide input to zoning. But that's my understanding. That's my understanding of the process.
I guess my question was, who does the quality control of that department? When things are not, when there are questions, who does that? I mean, I know I've talked with Edward multiple times. There was no.
Well, the Board of Supervisors makes the final decision on your permit, and that would include me. And if you say quality control, and I'll double check, if your zoning district requires a discretionary permit, then it does, unless the zoning changed. Right.
It does not.
Okay.
All right. Well, I will review that. If you have I mean, here's the point. I don't want to get into a back and forth. And I'm going to eventually have to vote on this. So let me just say, I'll end with this. Based on what they showed me, and I'll double check, as a former land use lawyer who's been on the Board of Supervisors for 25 years, it appears they are correct. So I will follow up and will contact you through Edgar or me to follow up. But preliminarily, what they told me was that it would, I respect that you may disagree with that. And if, but if you say who does quality control, they make the determination, and I'll double check to make sure that determination was correct. Yeah, and I respect that you feel you should get an automatic administrative permit. Their conclusion is different. So I'm just saying, let me just tell you this, oil refineries come in all the time and tell us they need less of a permit. They make, you're not an oil refinery, but they make those determinations as well and say, hey, this is the requirement we believe, and we'll double check and get back to you.
Okay, so that conversation will take place offline. Mr. Fernandez has been patiently waiting, so unmute yourself, sir, and tell us what you need to tell us.
I heard John talk about a fire prevention thing on Saturday, and I missed when or where that was at. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that will be at Pinole City Hall from 10 to 11, sponsored by our Contra Costa Fire District this Saturday, and it will be either by you can see it live on the Contra Costa Fire District Facebook page or go in person.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Supervisor Joya? Don't see any in the room, don't see any online. Mr. Fernandez, you can lower your hand if you don't mind. I'm looking at the next three presentations, and unless I'm mistaken from in the room and online, I don't see anybody from the fire department or either police agency. Am I correct?
The fire district gave me the report for me to read.
Okay.
And I sent it to the MAC members beforehand. They sent it to me this morning. I asked them to send it to me, a week in advance. They didn't. So I will post this online.
Okay.
So it's dated May 16th, 2013 from Louis Brochard, Fire Chief, to the Board of Directors. The Fire Chief's report. Operations. The second company began service mid-April at a fire station 92 in Brentwood. The 4-person crew started on a modified Type 1 pumping apparatus, but has since moved to a reserved ladder truck. We're waiting for delivery of a frontline ladder truck for FS Fire Station 92. A trial period started this month for staffing 1 firefighter on water tender 95 in Oakley. The purpose of the additional firefighter is to address water supply issues in non-hydrated areas of East County without degrading the capabilities of the existing Fire Station 95, which is a 3-person engine company. Wildland fire preparation and training, including the fire trail and maintenance, has been delayed because of the late season rains. Fire road maintenance is especially difficult this year due to wet conditions and the degraded state of these roads as a result of heavy winter spring rains. Numerous slides and washouts will require a multi-year plan to repair the damage. Dozer 220 began seasonal staffing this month, and Crew 12, our fire control worker hand crew, expanded from off-season staffing effectively, doubling its size and providing 12-hour shifts 7 days a week. Training. Lateral Academy 95 graduated and began their field training at the end of April, making 14 firefighters available for staffing in mid-May. EMS, Emergency Medical Services. As of this month, all of the areas of Eastern Contra Costa County has been upgraded to full-time permanent advanced life support emergency medical service, with all crews now staffed with at least one paramedic. And I remember that was one of the big items the fire district was championed for. Special operations. A Confire hosted multi-agency hazmat drill took place at our training and safety campus in Concord earlier this month. The event was sponsored by Cal OES and included hazmat teams from Contra Costa County and Solano County. The Fire Protection Bureau. During the month of April, the Bureau focused on implementing a exterior hazard ordinance after it was adopted on April 4th, 2023. Weed abatement standards remain the same, but a new software system has implemented to track compliance and work orders for non-compliant parcels. The deadline for weed abatement this year is June 4th for the entire district, which passed. Contracts have been approved for a CEQA consultant to perform the necessary environmental studies for the Lafayette Walnut Creek shaded field break. Evaluation site surveys for rare plants and blooming flowers began May 1st. Contractors for Measure X fuel mitigation projects was also selected, and work is anticipated to start in May to consist Crew 12 on mitigation efforts throughout the county. Support services. After working through insurance claims in process and consulting with subject matter experts, we are now hopeful that truck 1 will be repairable. You folks remember this is a truck that was hit during one of the call to service at a freeway. The vehicle will go back to Wisconsin to the manufacturer, where the engineers can better assess the damage it suffered from the February 18th highway incident and determine the availability to bring it back to factory specifications. This process could take 6 to 12 months, which is significantly better than the 46 months plus delivery time for a new ladder truck to be manufactured. For our new fire engines arrived from the manufacturer in Wisconsin this month and are currently being outfitted for the deployment to the field later this month. The new crew transportation vehicle for Crew 12 is complete and began delivered to the district this month. The new Type 2 Windland firefighter engine was completed at the factory in Idaho and will be delivered to the district later this month in time for deployment for the fire season. A lot of new trucks. Fire Station 9. We are proceeding with our backup plans to design a new station on the Fire Station 9 site at 209 Center Street in Pacheco. The site has some challenges with the nearby creek and floodplain. We have met the selected architect to kick off the project. We will simultaneously continue conversations with airport staff and public works in hopes of a future aviation site for fire at the airport on the already identified site. Fire Station 90. Site plans and floor plans have been established, and we have engaged with the city of Brentwood. Specific electrical and communications equipment plans are in the process. Late summer, the bridging documents should be complete and ready for binding. Fire Station 94. Lot lines adjustments on both sides of the projects are in process. These need to be finalized in order to release the architect on the footprint of the newly adjusted lot. We will use the same architect for the bridging documents at Fire Station 90, also in Brentwood. Making modifications to the lot line on both sides would increase the functionality of the fire station. The station will also be constructed using the design-build method. Contra Costa Fire Regional Communication Center. The architect has submitted buildable plans for the remodel of the communication center to the city of Pleasant Hill for a plan review. The goal is to go out to bid in summer 2023. This remodel will greatly enhance our ability to process and dispatch 911 emergency calls for service. And that finishes the Contra Costa Fire Protection District report for the month of May.
Thank you. A couple of things, if you could politely ask them to get the report to us sooner, because I saw it just now the email came in 10 minutes before this afternoon. I'm at work, and then I'm on my way home, and I'm eating dinner, so I don't have time to look at the report.
Okay.
The other thing is if you could maybe ask them to probably try and find some things that affect us locally specifically, because this is a good report, but it's all about stuff in the rest of the county and has nothing really to do with us. Does anybody on the?
I have a quick, the fire station here on Adrian is what number 5?
69.
Oh, that's,
Okay, any other questions for Edgar about the fire department's report? Anybody in the room have any questions for Edgar? Anybody online have any questions? There is one person who wants to come to the meeting, so if that person would be a bit, that would be great. Okay. I don't see no questions from audience in person or virtual. And as I said earlier, both police departments are not present, which is highly unusual for a MAC meeting. Did either of them reach out to you, Edgar?
No, and I sent both of them reminders last week and a follow-up this
One
week.
second, because the motherfucker wouldn't let me in, but he let you in immediately.
What is this?
You're in. You're in the meeting.
There we go. I mute them.
Okay, since we don't have reports from either police department, we will move to discussion items, which is development plans, application, variance reports, etc. on the agenda. And we have county file number CDDP 23-03013. Applicant seeks a development plan for proposed use of an existing commercial tenant space as an event venue within a retail business complex established under approved development plan CDDP 83-03038. Oh, that one has fallen apart. So perhaps. Okay, you know, one was kind of adhesive. And looking at the application, I'm assuming 5 feet or just from the applicant herself, thank you for coming to the meeting. And I looked at it, I'm intrigued by it, and I'd like you, if you would mind, to tell us, and for audiences, what your plans are. Oh, yeah, he's gonna tell you more about it. She's going to tell you all about it. Go ahead. Do you want to sit? Want to stand? Which place? Sit down. Go ahead.
Statsman, I have a space over 3698 Central Dam Road. Next door to Walgreens in the same parking lot as the liquor store. Okay. At the top. So we have it's a small space. There's actually 2 spaces that I want to make into 2 spaces. So first, I like to do a lot of classes in there. A lot of other entrepreneurs who may do a workshop there. It's fairly small. And so most people who book the space or want to space are normally doing something very intimate with their families. And I mean, it could be just an anniversary, a very small anniversary event. And in our larger space, we have done a couple of yoga. We do a lot of events that are centered around families and couples. Our space is designed with a lot of love. We made no structural changes, but as a designer, did a lot of work with configuring the space that I had to make it feel and look very beautiful. So we've done a couple of yogas. We have done some corporate events and baby showers and some graduation, small events. And so we typically, our events are maybe at no more than 25 plus 50 guests. Our small space doesn't more than 30 guests. We have, where our building is facing a huge field of nothing but the beautiful are those the sheep that are eating the goats? The goats. And so, you know, we haven't had any issues with noise or because, you know, the space, you know, we are very much focused on making sure that it is beautiful. We can make sure the outside is good. So we haven't had any issues. We actually met the sheriff that patrols the area for the first time. He's like, oh, I didn't know that this, you know, existed because, you know, we had, you know, with Indians, pretty much our neighbors, our guests, or our enforcement.
Yeah. I'm curious, is this
so we would like to, you know, our plans is to move to doing some elopements. A lot of people, it's like about 10, max 10 guests, but normally during the first 2. So we say elopements, and they are no more than an hour. They go over in San Francisco at, you know, the City Hall, opens City Hall, and then Contra Costa as well, but it's still very clinical. You know, it still has the look of a county building, and so our space is small. I ordained to be able to facilitate those many moments of what we're calling like elopements. During the week, also, if there is a training that is permitted for our small businesses, we cater to our small businesses. We can't afford to rent a huge space, you know, and churches and a lot of community spaces that want to do some team building, which is like I said, it's still no more than 30 guests during the.
Okay, and the hours of operation there will be.
It depends on when they book. So for the most part, our mornings it's almost a morning conference starts for these days. Our regular time is 4-hour max. So it is during that 4 hours. We have the latest that we'll have an event, it will end at 11:50.
Okay.
We have security at all of our events, except for our we don't have security at our events. It's only 2 people we need to witness.
Yeah.
But at every event, even if it's a baby shower, if they are over the 30 guests, then security is automatically added into their cost.
Oh, I'm asking this question mainly because you know we hear the phrase event.
Yeah. No,
it's a broad.
Encourage you to not use the word event and talk about activities of the space. Yeah. I learned this the very hard way. I can tell you so many ways in which I would learn to say activities in the space include, because an event is a very specific thing to plan. Yeah. So I would say activities.
Yeah. I was on the rave and I was like,
ask me a question.
Can I make one point? I want to, because I want to make sure the application, you know, has the best chance for success. What you do want to be is as thorough as possible, because events where the public shows up and parks are a sort of term of art. So you want to make sure you're as detailed as possible, and sounds like you are in what you're doing, because there is, under the land use laws, there's a distinction between events where the public comes versus other types of activities that are going on where it's not open, it's not the public. So yeah, I mean, just being as thorough as possible so that they don't go back and forth and have to get more information from you, and try to, so, you know, the less there's back and forth, the faster it goes through the process.
Right, so the bulk of our we do a lot of baby showers, we do a lot of bridal events. We also do a lot of bridal activities, a lot of celebration activities, and they are private. So the only public events that we've done are if we're doing a couples yoga, a couples therapy session,
a class.
A class.
That's an activity or a class. It's not an event. It's Class.
Where we brought in a licensed professional
Teacher,
to teach that class.
All right, Ms. Shirley has a question.
So do you have a limited number of people you can have in your space, your business space?
Yeah, so we are, our max number is 6. So we stay below that number because they.
So did you write down exactly what required for your activities to take place in there? I'm trying to figure out why they're not granting.
Well, here's a
business.
actually, I have a question that's going to answer that.
Okay.
So what was in the space before you?
There was a church in the space before me.
Okay. So how is that different, John?
Okay, so
That's
that's part of these, not my offline part of it.
Yeah, but that's, I was just curious what had been there before. What was the previous
I
use
think
in
that would
space?
be a problem because there was a church that,
Had similar things.
Understood. So we know that that's the, we'll call it a bone of contention. So, okay, when Tom, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, what is the size of the deluxe
that side of it.
building, the size of the building?
So the larger space is
The whole building, because I see you have it split.
yeah. We're at about, I think it's 22.
Yeah, I was gonna get 2,500.
All right, so, Jim.
I was just trying to clarify for myself, but it's a space that you have. Does somebody come to you and say, would you like to rent this space for whatever it is, baptism or christening or, I mean, how does it, I'm just confused about how it works.
So for example, the posting that we do on Instagram, that's probably the most marketing that I do. But we got a call from an organization that was putting on a celebration for Palm for their older journalists with Cameron Moore and Barbara Rogers. And so they just were doing a celebration of their Black journalists. And so there might have been maybe 30 guests, and most of them were journalists in daytime events. They have 4 hours. We require security with 4 hours. And then normally are assisting them with, with parking, different parking issues, and just kind of making sure that everything is neat.
So is it an empty space? Okay, so why so
one of the parts of why most people book with me. They want to just
you set up
and they tell me what the color palette is. Right.
It is food allowed?
Yes, but they have to have a caterer, and the caterer has our building on.
They can't cook in the space. They can only bring it in.
Okay, any other questions from the map? Any questions from anybody in the room? Everyone's gonna be. Brought your back up. That's all. Oh, okay. That's anybody who got class. Wow. Great question. Any questions from anybody online for his, I'm gonna blank right now. Webster. I was gonna say that's, I don't know why. Any questions online for Ms. Webster? No? You have no question?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
been very diligent.
Oh, absolutely.
And but maybe we should seek the site in the city, and I think figure tax dollars.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming to the space and cheap.
I mean, as you know, we as part of the map, we see the applications on a regular basis on a lot of things. And reviewing this and listening to you very detailed and persistent as you need to be, because you deal with bureaucracy. And Dr. McLean can tell you chapter and verse about bureaucracy in the county and the planning board and the planning commission. that she still has all her hair on her head. It's kind of miraculous. But but what I'm getting at is that it's nice that we have things. I not different. It's not, that's not the word I'm trying to. There's something to give a little spark.
It's different from what's there now.
Yeah, that's and it brings people
to watch, celebrate their moments, to watch families welcome a new life. Like it really, it really brings us joy. And so, the frustration with the county of, not, and I've made no structural changes. And so the huge delay and the lack of response and communication as to the reason why it was frustrating.
We get it. Yeah, we understand. We do.
This application was
no idea.
Very vague in their description of what you were doing.
Yeah. And we appreciate that.
We all saw the event venue.
Yeah, and
that raised all sorts of red flags here.
Yeah, just because it's an interesting phrase, if you explain it. I mean, as the acting, I'm the vice chair, I'm acting as chair, because Mr. Lang is not here tonight. I think this is a fine application. I think it's great.
Well, the application, but just the wording on it from the county.
Well, she didn't write that.
Yeah, I know, the county did.
But what I'm saying is based upon the information that was
Right. Yes.
I think this is a wonderful thing. And I think we as an action encourage this and support it fully.
I would like to say that, and I would also like to add to whoever's going to write this letter, that we have multiple empty commercial spaces all over town.
Okay.
This is an excellent use. This is a community use. It seems to me, as someone who has run churches for 26 years, not a whole lot different in terms of impact on the community. It has a similar impact. Place where people can go and celebrate. I think I would call it a celebration space. Celebration. Because it doesn't mean anything in the code.
Yeah, that's how you phrase it. And my take on it is it's going to bring some more eyeballs to El Sobrante because we still overlooked about cheating.
People say is like and commercial spaces are not good.
Yeah, that's
and your view seems very appropriate. I think it's great, and I would like to support it. And I would also like to remind folks who work in the planning department and in the building department that we need good development, and we need.
Yeah, so we'll support it. I haven't drafted a letter in the longest time. Do we keep some of them? Hopefully, the old ones on file we can use to modify that.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
Let Mr. Lang know about it. That would be great.
Okay.
And I've also now saying what else is around that really means the leftovers in Spanish. And because people sit through on Dam Road, as you know, but it's nice to have eyes and have people come to this who live in El Sobrante and live elsewhere. They can say, "Oh wow," because they come to your spot and they say, "Well, what else is going on around here?" So it's kind of a magnet, and we appreciate you coming to us second time. Because I remember I looked, he was like, "Wait, she was here at the last meeting," and so I'm like, "What's your name again?" I do that these days. So thank you for coming and presenting to us, and we wholeheartedly support your efforts, and we hope it comes to fruition. It sounds like a really nice thing that you're doing to help people experience joy, and we want that. So thank you for that. Okay, so
I'm gonna try to give some language to Tom to add about.
And today also, even with the county, when you're trying to list for me. There isn't a code for it. There isn't, so there's either, and this is just across the board, even in California, like, for banquet hall or for, it's either venue or club or nightclub.
Yeah.
And so I'm
or in the church.
Or in church. So I'm in this middle space and I'm trying to
communicate doing something my churches used to do.
Right.
well, yeah, in her own way. So we will, like I said, we got a letter of support. And what I'm going to ask Edgar is to just put this on as an agenda item on a future meeting, because I'm curious to see how it proceeds. Because I don't want you to just be the end of it, because we want to see how it goes, because it's important. It's important. So Next up on the agenda, we have information items, which is information reports by MAC members. Do any of us have any information reports?
There's a hand raised in the,
There's a hand raised.
yeah.
Oh, yes, go ahead. What, yes.
Hi, this is Judy Weatherly, and I'm having a really hard time hearing. I can hear John, and I'm not sure who the other person is. I can hear them fine, but the rest of you, I'm having a really hard time. I just got some outside speakers from my computer to see if that helps, and it does help a little bit. But I'd love to hear what this organization is, or this business is that you're about to open up. The very beginning of it. I heard some of it towards the end, but what's the primary focus? What's it called?
It is called
BB Lux.
BB Lux. Did you hear me?
And actually, if you, the easiest thing for you, Judy, would be to look at the packet for the meeting. That gives you all of the information about where it is, etc. And what she's going to be doing in this space is creating celebrations for people in big life moments. Such as baby showers and elopements, weddings, small weddings, parties, anniversaries, etc.
And where's it?
Private celebration space, and it's right by Walgreens in that commercial space next to it.
Okay, sounds great.
All right.
And there used to be a church there, so
yes, I
seem
love
like
it.
terribly different used to me, but there you go.
Just more days of the week, right? So we have. So Judy, does that answer your question sufficiently?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, and I can hear
John
you
is
well.
here because he's in Zoom, but I'm right next to the microphone. That's why I decided to speak, because I thought you might be able to hear me.
Yeah, I have a loud voice, so I hope you can hear me too.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So information reports by MAC members. Do any of us have any information reports?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I think the elsewhere came to Congress. It's probably doing a survey on why we have so many empty retail buildings. Sorry, probably in color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you could also talk to Thomas about that, Mr. Lang, because he's on the Chamber of Commerce as well. So Harry had his hand up.
I was going to say that they're doing the survey.
Yeah.
I take it step by step.
Judy, can you hear Harry?
Yeah.
Okay.
But by businesses not being able to move forward and offer the services, they're causing problems.
Back up in the I've been studying the portal like crazy, and you see a lot of businesses that are stalled. They're on hold. Some of them are really great business ideas.
Yeah.
18 months.
Yeah, it's something that needs to be worked on, and unfortunately, this meeting isn't the venue for that, but it is a problem.
And it's a problem for other cities in Germany.
Yeah, it's not just here. I'm going to now speak in my Royal Free State Month, and we have there's a lot of new construction going on at infill, and people are also building accessory dwelling units and the like, and it's taking longer than it used to because of all the roads. So
do you think that the issue is because it's governed by the county and not as a city? Because in the other cities,
no.
This is what John will put on the t-shirt that I'm going to get him that says we're not Richmond. No, seriously, the cities are worse.
Yeah,
I've done things in the cities that are worse. It's better, believe it or not. But COVID, and I know this is off, I'm just going to say this one thing. So some things were way easier before COVID, because you could go in and talk to them over the counter.
Yep.
That was actually a thing. And now, with the emails back and forth, and if they don't understand your document, then they spend another week, and then they send you another email, and they charge you $110 for that email, because a senior planner is $385 an hour, and they'll send you 10 emails when one would do, and if you have a question about one, it's going to cost you $110 to get an answer to your question. So it goes back and forth and back and forth, and it's expensive. It's wicked expensive.
Yep, and it is not.
And you used to be able to go down there and you might have to wait a couple of hours, but then you talk to them face to face over the counter with your drawing and you get it signed.
Yeah, it's not just the county, it's everywhere. I don't think it's everywhere, so it's unfortunate.
But it was better before.
It was better before COVID, but a lot of things were better before COVID, especially when I was. We don't have any information reports. We're going to go on subcommittee reports, and our normal subcommittee report giver is not here tonight. I'll just read what it says on here. It says regular litter cleanups are held on the third Saturday of each month from 10 a.m. to noon. Meet at the El Sobrante Library, 4191 Appian Way, to sign in, borrow equipment if needed, and find a designated area to clean with others in the 94803 area. Mickey Norris is the contact, and it's her name at Comcast.net. Mickey Norris at Comcast.net. And I'll say that she is very passionate about that. She does a great job with this work, and we're glad that we have her to do that work.
And Edgar,
yeah,
subcommittee meeting?
Yeah, so Mickey sent me 2 items to report back. I'm sorry, George.
Okay.
She said that this month, the third Saturday cleanup is actually this weekend.
That's true.
So it would be on Saturday.
Right,
which is we're all adding right now, 17th.
Edgar, did you I forgot, did we publicize our metal and dumpster day?
We did one round, but we haven't done
I mean, did we let the MAC know today? I forgot.
Nope.
Well,
yeah, I would let them know. We have get it on your account. We have Edgar can update you about that now.
Yeah. So we're having our biannual El Sobrante / Rolling Wood Dumpster Day. It's going to be at the Moose Lodge, like we had it last year. It's going to be on July 8th, which is a Saturday, I believe. And one of the big issues that we had last year was just that it got filled up within 2 hours. And we had a 40-yard dumpster, and then we had a 20-yard dumpster. So this year we're going to have a 2 40-yarders for the trash, and then we're going to have a dumpster specifically just for metal. So we're going to have Sims are going to be partnering with us, and this time we're going to have the trash bins facing outwards, so you don't have to sneak in through the back, which was an issue. Tom and I had to jump up there and move things around. So that's going to be July 8th. We already sent 1 rounds of material to the public, but we'll start sending more closer to the date, and that is July 8th. And then Mickey also wanted me to mention, that the upcoming subcommittee meeting is on the 19th of July. So that's 7/19th of July.
Okay.
The dumpster day starts at 8 in the morning and goes up to noon or to whenever it gets filled, because they usually get filled before noon.
Okay. Oh, so the people have to show what type of ID, so that should be on the flyer.
Yeah, so it should be any proof of that shows that they live in the 94803 or Rolling Wood. Yeah, and it can be like anything from like a bill, driver license. And just for folks' awareness, last year, it starts at 8. That's when we start taking in trash. By 8, there was already a line down the street.
Hey, Edgar, just to ask, last year, I think everybody should know that the county gets a share of dumpsters for the unincorporated area, and Richmond gets a share of dumpsters for the city. We get limited numbers. Last year, out of ease of use, we let anybody in 94803, whether they lived in the city or the county, use the dumpster. I've talked to council member Sohail Labana about, Richmond should arrange a day so that Richmond residents of the valley. I think one of the things we're concerned about is we can't have Richmond residents always use our dumpster. They get their own allotment, and it uses up the capacity, and we have limited numbers, so that our unincorporated areas, whether it's El Sobrante, Rolling Wood, whatever, East Richmond Heights, they then don't have the capacity to dump. We were hoping maybe Richmond would do one the same day we would, because then that would make it easier. That Richmond could put a dumpster next to it, but I think Richmond Public Works didn't want to do that because it's in the county. So we're working with Councilmember Urbana, and I think I'm hesitant to. This is the question. It makes it hard to enforce to look up people's addresses. It's easier to say 94803, but we don't want the unincorporated area residents, not getting enough capacity because we're opening it up to Richmond residents in the Valley. Richmond has a responsibility to do this themselves. And they are doing a number around Richmond. I don't know when their next one for El Sobrante is. I don't know if they've done one yet this year. And I know they've talked about it.
Okay, we got hands up. First was Mr. Fernandez, and then I wasn't sure if it was either Anne Marie or Judy, but Mr. Fernandez, go ahead.
So I'm the director of operations for Safe Organized Spaces, and I just wanted to, and I'll put our number in the comments and say that if you needed help with workers, we've done a number of the dumpster days throughout Richmond, and I just want to offer some of our assistance that if you needed people to help fill those dumpsters, please give us a call. So I'll leave the comment in there if you guys would need our assistance.
Excellent, thank you, sir.
I will definitely contact you, O'Neill. Thank you.
Okay.
Anne Marie, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. This is Anne Marie, Green Team. I helped May Valley Council do their dumpster day a few months ago, and it was for Richmond residents. And the Republic Service not only gave them, 4 or 5 employees actually helping us unload the cars and things. They also switched out every dumpster that got full. They had dumpsters waiting in line to be brought in. So I know that May Valley Neighborhood Council is someone that had done that just a few months ago. So I'm sure that they're the ones that are the Richmond contact.
Do you know what day of the week was that?
It was on a Saturday, and it was a few months ago.
Okay, thank you, Anne Marie. Harry, you thought you had your hand up. You still, no, you good? Okay. Anything else on this topic? No? Okay, future agenda items next. The noise element and nuisance ordinance waiting on date from county's conservation and development department. Okay. Yeah, so basically what it sounds like is it's what we've discussed recently, and you brought it up as a thing because of the church in your neighborhood that makes fun of children. So basically what this means is that we brought it forth because we feel that there should be something to protect us because
I think there should be a noise ordinance.
yes. So
let me be clear. We're gonna have somebody from sheriff and planning at the next meeting, but it's important to note not having a noise ordinance doesn't mean the sheriff can't go out and enforce something. I think if the sheriff were here tonight, we could talk with them.
John, that's not what he said last week.
Well, yeah, I've spoken to the sheriff. There are things they can do. I think we'll have a discussion, right? Well, look, yeah, let me finish, please. Yes, there are things that can be done without a noise ordinance under nuisance laws. And we are going to have the sheriff talk about that at the next meeting, along with someone from planning on the noise ordinance. So I think we're going to have a full presentation, but in the meantime, I think, Edgar, I mean, you're going to pass on the information. We're going to talk to the sheriff about following up with the existing complaint that is out there. But at the next, so we're not waiting until the next month's discussion, but I've dealt with some noise complaints before where we do get a response. So we're engaged with the sheriff's office. There are things they can do. We are going to follow up on this one. And that next month we'll have the larger discussion, right, with sheriff and the building department. And we talked to code enforcement too. So we will, so we'll follow up again. And Edgar, I forgot the location. What's the location of where this is occurring?
Let me look that up. It's a business.
There's more than one.
There's more than one. We've been
Okay.
dealing with this for,
Yeah,
we've been dealing with this for a long time, and the sheriff refuses to do anything. It's not dealt with, and it goes into late at night.
Right.
And this
Oh,
is
it's Ed's place.
the valley is going
Ed's
nuts over this.
what is it? Well, see here. See, here's the point with Ed's place. It also, it can be, if it's Ed's place, they have an alcohol permit. We have, so building department people to do some things as well. So we are going to follow up on those because there are permit requirements.
I'm trying to see who it is.
Mute everybody except John.
Okay.
If you can, because
There are requirements in permits as well. So we'll follow up with those individual situation. Edgar will meet about that, because land use permits or alcohol permits also have standards and requirements, and that hold the operator responsible.
Okay, so in order, on the Zoom, we're going to go to G, then in the room to Shirley, then on Zoom to Nancy, and then in the room to Dr. McLean. Jean, go ahead, Jean.
Thank you. The one that I've been working on is the one on the corner of Valley View and Olinda. And the problem is not that somebody's making a lot of noise. It's that there is a generator there that's supporting an AT&T box for some emergency services, because 4 or 6 months ago, somebody hit it with their car and it got knocked out. And AT&T, so I went AT&T, they sent me to PG&E. PG&E sent me to the fire department, who said if no flames were coming out of it, they weren't interested. The fire department sent me to Bay Area Quality Management, and supposedly they're trying to get something done with PG&E.
Right.
But it's those kinds of things that we don't have any control over at all.
Yeah, let me just say, a noise ordinance would not deal with this issue about the generator. So we'll follow up. See, each of these are separate issues, and there are some tools available. I'm on the Air District Board. I can follow up. Edgar, you'll take note of these individual situations. We can work directly with AT&T on that issue to get that fixed. Yeah, the sheriff can't solve that.
I think it's PG&E.
Or PG&E. Yeah, so Edgar will get the notes down. A noise ordinance has nothing to do with this. Every situation is different. What we could do is follow up with PG&E, and if they have something that's not operating correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes 24 hours a day.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So yeah, we can work on that.
John's looking on others. Go ahead, Shirley.
I want you to define what noise means. Is this people leaving the pub? If not, is it music in the pub?
It's loud parties. It's all kinds of different things around.
It's human. It's a human generated.
So I was concerned about sideshow noise.
Well, and then there is the noise of the vehicle. Not wrong about that.
Okay, so the sideshow thing, that's a noise thing, but that's more of a police enforcement.
Yeah, a noise ordinance has nothing to do with the sideshow. Sheriff or Richmond Police can go out and enforce those. And what we've heard both from Richmond Police and the sheriff and San Pablo Police is that their issue is once they go out there, it's often gone, right? So that's the issue there. But yeah, a noise ordinance again does nothing for that. But that's illegal. And if the sheriff or Richmond Police get out there, they can definitely cite them and arrest them.
Exactly. Nancy Burke is next. If you can come back, there you go. And unmute yourself.
I'm trying. Sorry. Can you do something here?
And this is why we had this on the agenda for next month, where we're going to have sheriff, building, and planning.
I know it's not, but it kind of.
Okay, can I talk? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, can I talk? Is that okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Can I talk? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Somebody with her has.
Someone's with her, yeah.
Okay.
I muted everyone.
Okay, sorry about that. We have two computers going. So one of the big things around the noise complaint is I think it's is it 4430 San Pablo Dam Road? I went and tried to talk to the people there, and it was useless. They were pretty awful. They do these big parties in the empty lot next to 4430, put up tents. They have a full band. The guy says they spend $10,000 on a band, and they point everything towards our neighborhood. And the last, we're in Richmond, and they're in El Sobrante. So the last time this happened, it was from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until after 10 o'clock at night.
No, after 11.
No, that night it was after 10 o'clock. And Judy's talking to me too. But anyway, and it was awful. We could not hear ourselves outside. You could hear everything on the inside of the house as well. And when I went to, I thought I'll go talk to them and see if they're amenable to not amplifying it at least. And the guy was awful. He was just basically awful. So I don't think there's any moving on that. And last year they did a lot of parties pretty much all year long. So that's one place that's doing really loud amplified parties. And on the weekend, on Sunday, there was somebody else doing an amplified party, and we know it wasn't them this week, and it was somebody else. So we're getting it kind of from all directions, and people post on Nextdoor that they're hearing it from all over the valley.
Yeah.
And we're too far away from Ed, so I don't know what's happening with that. But and the sheriff won't do anything. And we've emailed Lieutenant Rodriguez, a bunch of people in Sheldon Nelson in our neighborhood here have emailed Lieutenant Rodriguez, and he doesn't even bother answering. So I feel like the sheriff doesn't help us at all with this. And Richmond PD, apparently the last time they had the big party on San Paulo Dam Road, they got tons of calls from everywhere, up and down May Road, up and down Sheldon, Windsor. So they were frustrated too. So that's what's going on, and we feel like we really need your help with a noise ordinance. Whatever else.
Can I ask a question about that? Can I ask Edgar?
But we do need help.
Can I ask a question, Nancy? Can you hear me? Nancy, can you hear me? Nancy, can you hear me?
Anyhow.
Yeah, Nancy, can you hear me?
No.
I had a question of Nancy. Nancy?
I don't think we can hear you, John. And I think what we can probably do is, this is something that, again, it's an agenda item for the next meeting. So
well, can I say something for a second?
Yeah, second.
Can I say something?
Yes.
So Nancy, I wanted to ask, because some of these can be dealt with without a noise ordinance. So I'm not saying we're not going to talk about more noise ordinance. This may be an illegal land use. So let me understand. It's 4430, because I want to look into these before next month. Folks seem to think a noise ordinance solves all these problems. It will solve some of them, but not all of them. There are other tools. So the question here is, we'll check who owns that property, and because we dealt.
Jesus.
Can you mute Nancy?
So reason I say this is we just passed an ordinance to deal with some loud parties on agricultural land in East County that were specific about permits and dealing with that. It dealt with large parties in these rural areas. So there are different things we can do that can be more effective than a noise ordinance in some cases, and that's why I'm trying to understand this particular lot. And we'll look into this. Edgar will write down it's 4430. We'll see who owns it. I am doing these types of events on that lot is probably not a permitted use, and there can be code enforcement and shutting them down without doing a noise ordinance. So that's what I'm saying. So we'll look into that.
Okay.
Thank you. Lindsay is going to be the last comment on this, and I'm going to move on to the agenda. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that the whole reason I joined this meeting was kind of what Nancy was bringing up, and I share similar sentiment. I know that I'm probably more than a mile. I'm probably about a mile away from where these parties happen, and I can hear it from inside my house with all my windows and doors closed. So I can't imagine how disruptive it is for people that are actually living really close to where these parties are happening. Luckily, I can put in, earplugs, but I know that's not going to work for a lot of people that live close to where that noise is coming from.
Thank you very much. Okay, on the agenda, we're down to public comment, which is for items not on the agenda.
We've been having public comment.
I know, yeah. Sort of, but not really, because it's on because it's an agenda item. People are asking what it was, and then it unleashed the, this is what it is. So now we're down to public comment. Last item on this agenda, and it's 4 items that are not on the agenda. A 2 minutes per speaker limit. Is there anybody in the room that wants to speak to something that was not on this evening's agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
But we have items for people supposed to speak. Could they use a little bit more extensive vocabulary and clear vocabulary and be a little bit more detailed?
Sure, we can do that. We can ask, we can't control how people speak on topic, but certainly we can, certainly can ask. Mr. Fernandez, you have public comment about something that's not on the agenda. Go ahead, sir.
So as I said, I'm the operations director of operation for SOS, and I left our number on there. I just wanted to put out to everybody that, with the last city council of Richmond, we are able to go to unincorporated El Sobrante and Richmond part of El Sobrante, and we're working with like Sohela on dealing with encampments in fire hazardous areas. That's why I asked John about that fire thing. So I just wanted to put out to everybody that number is for us to respond without the neighborhoods giving us a call. We don't know where the trash is at. We don't know how to tend to the homeless encampments in your neighborhood. I was hoping to be there live tonight, but it didn't work out. But I just wanted to say that please use that number. This is a number that lets us know where we need to go in your areas to pick up or help the encampments and provide services of outreach for the unhoused. And I am an ex-unhoused from the El Sobrante area, so I have a love for your guys' city because I was homeless out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. What's the other hands for public comment?
I have one more. I have one comment.
Okay.
Serge emailed me and asked if I can share a message on his behalf. So Serge from the Triangle Works, they're having a mural painting on the 24th and the 25th from 9 a.m. to noon. It's going to be at the El Sobrante at Fran and Appian Way. It's going to be in the intersection of Fran and Appian Way, and I believe it's where the yellow, going to be the yellow wall that's there, and that's going to be the 24th and the 25th from 9 to noon.
Okay. All right, it looks like we have 2 more public comment for items not on the agenda. I saw Judy's first. Judy, I must say I really love the border on your picture. I think it's awesome. Yeah. So thank you for that. Go ahead, Judy.
It's been painted down.
Yeah. You're muted. Yeah. Still muted. Muted. There you go.
Okay. I just wanted to say that that we've actually given John's office the name of the owner of that property and the address, and that was probably a month and a half or 2 months ago. And so that's one thing. And the other thing is that, I'm feeling kind of frustrated just listening to this meeting, just in terms of feeling kind of lost in between Richmond and El Sobrante. It's like, the other side of the creek that we live on is El Sobrante. So it's like, I feel like we're sort of at one with this valley, and I really love the valley, but this is really frustrating to hear people having such difficulty with like permits and so forth. And And the cost of money that people have to be out in order to get these projects going, that sounds just pretty outrageous. I don't know how much that engineer was, but it was a lot per hour. And for every phone call, I don't know. I've worked for counties and I've worked for the state, and I know how bureaucracy can be really frustrating, but I'm very frustrated now as a retired citizen that wants to see some action. And it's really frustrating to see that people want to provide services and are unable to do it because of the backlog in the county. And maybe we need to organize and actually go to the Board of Supervisors and really find out what's happening as a whole unit there, because this is really, this is like, I think my second MACMA meeting because I'm in the Valley as a Richmond resident. So anyway, just that's my hit for tonight.
Thank you. I don't know if you heard my comment, but I told you that I liked your border around your picture that I see.
Thank you.
I like that. Okay. Yeah. Anne Marie and then Lindsay for public comment for items not on the agenda. This is for something that's not on the agenda, Anne Marie?
Yeah, I heard your instructions. I just want to give a nice announcement that the Richmond CERT training just completed. And about at least 1/3 of the CERT folks were from El Sobrante. So we had a large group of about 19 of us that completed a 9-week course every Thursday night from 6 to 9 o'clock, and as well as a Saturday drill. And 19 of us graduated from the CERT and brought, all that knowledge back into El Sobrante, as well as the 94803 Richmond. So on a happy note.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. We appreciate that a lot. It means that we've got citizen involvement in a critical thing. That's good. Okay, I think that's going to do it for. Yes.
Mickey and a lot of people are out of town for the third Saturday cleanup this month, so we could really use more volunteers because we're going to be short-handed this particular Saturday. So I'm putting the word out there. If you know anybody wants to come help us, we have a fun day from. Starting at 10 to 12, we meet at the El Sobrante Library and help Terry. Yeah.
Okay.
We are in church this month. So.
All right. Seeing that is Judy and O'Neill, are those old hands? No, you have something more, Mr. Hernandez?
Yeah, I was just going to say that if you guys are down people, I can make sure I have my team out there. We try to participate in the cleanup. Like we took, I think, 3 tons out of an encampment on Earth Day, so I could try to have a team out there, at least cleaning the encampment sides of that cleanup and maybe helping you guys in any way we can on that one. So we are still on board with that. I know we haven't been able to do that because we've been so focused somewhere else, but we're going to bring a lot of our focus back to El Sobrante now that these other encampments in Richmond are closing down. So yes, we would. I don't remember the date, but I'll make sure my team is out there this weekend. Am I correct? Okay, I'll make sure we have a team out there and participating on some of that cleanup.
Okay, very good. And on that note,
one question.
Yes.
This is my first process. I'm not sure what comes next. My planner has not.
Well, I would say that like I said, that's the offline conversation to continue with Supervisor Joy and Edgar about that.
You know what I'm saying?
From us.
Yes.
From our
Sending a letter.
Yeah, it's
with your plan.
We're sending a letter to the plan saying we signed it. It's and so I think that's our role in this is to try and support.
And the plan will see.
Okay, and on that, I don't see any more public comment. I don't hear any more questions unless you. No. Okay, so I'm going to say we can adjourn this meeting at 8:24 p.m. And so I know something wants to be admitted, but they're a little late.
All right.
So